Hey guys, Tristan here, and much like you guys, I didn't know a lot about Captain Marvel, aka Carol Danvers. So I did some research, and I came up with a couple of cool and interesting things about her. And here we are, 10 things you may not know about Captain Marvel. At number 10, she's part Kree actually. Although she may appear very much human, those unfamiliar with Carol Danvers may be surprised to learn that she's actually part Kree, but not in the way you might think. Born human, Carol's adventures with Mar-Vell, the original Captain Marvel, eventually resulted in her DNA merging with his after the pair were caught in an explosion of a psyche magnetron device. Genetically speaking, this makes Carol both human and Kree, giving the future Captain Marvel her initial set of superpowers. In fact, the character's genetic ties to the Kree likely have something to do with the return of both Ronan the Accuser and Phil Coulson, the latter of whom has recently been tied up with the Kree-centric time travel adventure over on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the upcoming Captain Marvel movie. At number 9, we have something pretty interesting here. The character was actually cut from Jessica Jones. As well as having a cameo cut from Avengers Age of Ultron at the 11th hour, Captain Marvel was also cut from a much larger role in Netflix acclaimed Jessica Jones series. Initially intended to appear opposite of Jessica as her superpowered best friend and confidant, the character was ultimately removed from the project in favor of Rachel Taylor's Trish Walker. Showrunner Melissa Rosenberg later revealed that the possibility of Carol Danvers being promoted to the big screen may have had something to do with her removal from the show, but also suggests that the team felt Trish would make a much better minor for Jessica due to her status as a non-powered character. At number 8, man, Carol can't catch a break, can she? She lost her powers because they were stolen. Following an intense confrontation between Ms. Marvel and Rogue on the Golden Gate Bridge, Rogue used her mutant ability to absorb the powers of her adversary, only to realize she may have gone too far this time. Absorbing too much of Carol's power, Rogue permanently gained some of Ms. Marvel's abilities as well as some of her memories and personality, which took a large toll on Rogue's mental health. At the time, Carol is saved by Spider-Woman, with the attack leaving Carol a blank slate. Both her powers and memories are completely wiped. Thankfully, Professor X manages to restore Carol's mind, although her emotional connection to the past is all but severed in the process. In addition to this, Carol's powers remained absent for quite some time following the incident, marking a large turning point in the character's history. At number 7, Carol got a surprise because a Brood experiment doubled her powers. Following the permanent absorption of her powers by the mutant Rogue, Carol spent some time with the X-Men, assisting them on a variety of missions in a support capacity. During this time, Carol and the X-Men came into contact with the Brood, a brutal race of parasitic alien beings. Capturing Carol, the Brood were fascinated by the Kree-human hybrid's unique genetic makeup, performing several torturous experiments on her. This unlocked the true potential in Ms. Marvel's genes, and after being connected to a cosmic phenomenon known as a white hole, granted her near godlike powers, dwarfing those of the original Ms. Marvel. With these powers, Carol went by the name of Binary. Although her newfound powers would eventually die down, she also retained some of her cosmic powers permanently, making Ms. Marvel even more powerful than she already was. At number 6, there was that time where she got permanently fired from the Daily Bugle, unlike Peter Parker. Following Carol's unfortunate departure from her career at NASA, the high-flying hero soon landed herself a new gig working alongside J. Jonah Jameson at the Daily Bugle. Serving as the editor of Woman magazine, a subsidiary the Daily Bugle created to salvage the paper's dwindling numbers, it didn't take long for Danvers and Jameson to butt heads. While Jameson was insistent on filling the magazine with diet tips, recipes, and other shallow puff pieces, Carol refused to facilitate Jameson's vision, instead choosing to explore pressing women's issues. Despite Jameson's reputation for firing Peter Parker, but not really firing Peter Parker, it seemed he was serious about letting Carol go, replacing her with a new editor thanks to their differing visions for the magazine. At number 5, we have that House of M event where it almost broke her spirits. It's no secret that Carol Danvers has had a tough ride over the course of her superhero career, but the fact that she always comes back out on top despite the obstacles thrown her way says an awful lot about her character, determined to guard the public whatever the cost. Carol also has an extremely strong desire to be loved and respected by the civilians she protects. This is exactly what she gets during the House of M story, in which Scarlet Witch drastically alters reality itself, creating a world where many of Earth's heroes are living their own personal dreams. Among those heroes is Captain Marvel, who becomes the most widely recognized and beloved hero on the planet. When reality is eventually restored, however, Carol is heartbroken by the setback, but ultimately uses this experience to transform herself into the best version of herself she can be. At number 4, she had somewhat of an identity crisis, if you could believe. Although many superheroes take on several different mantles over the course of their respective histories, often than not they have one iconic identity that becomes synonymous with the character. Carol Danvers is something of an exception to the rule though. At first famous for her civilian identity, Carol Danvers in the pages of Marvel superheroes, Carol soon went on to become Ms. Marvel for several decades, which remains one of the character's most widely recognized titles. In recent years, however, Carol has taken on the role of Captain Marvel, in homage to her former mentor, which is likely to become the moniker most closely tied to the character thanks to the MCU's upcoming Captain Marvel movie. In addition to this, Carol has also been Binary, the cosmically powered version of herself, as well as Warbird in one of the character's more darker periods. At number 3, Carol is on a lot of teams, and I mean a lot of teams. Easily one of the busiest characters in Marvel, it seems Carol Danvers is forever spinning an insane number of plates at any given time. As a civilian, Carol always seems to have one incredibly important job or another, whether that's working for the Air Force, NASA, the CIA, or SHIELD. As a superhero though, Carol is even busier, serving as a prominent member on the Avengers and its various spin-off teams, including the New Avengers, the Mighty Avengers, and A-Force. She also serves as a founding member of the Ultimates, while acting as the leader of the Alpha Flight space program. Despite not being a mutant, Carol even earned a temporary spot on the X-Men, assisting the team during her recovery time. And to top it all off, Carol has been associated with the Starjammers, the Defenders, Excalibur, and even joined the Guardians of the Galaxy for a short stint. These next two things are a little bit of a doozy, so without further ado, at number 2, she struggled with addiction. During perhaps the darkest period of Ms. Marvel's history, the character was subjected to a series of tragedies in rapid succession, which include the brutal death of her boyfriend at the hands of Mystique, her kidnapping and subsequent brainwashing, torture, getting depowered by Rogue, and losing the powers she gained as Binary. Following all of this, Carol rejoined the Avengers as Warbird, during which time she developed an unfortunate, a bit understandable, dependence on alcohol, with her decision not to vocalize her suffering weighing heavily on her. Her alcoholism negatively impacted her work as a superhero, and Carol was eventually forced to step down from the Avengers. Not easily broken, however, some help from fellow alcoholic Tony Stark set her back on the right path, and Carol soon returned stronger than ever. And finally, we come to the number 1 thing you may not know about Carol Danvers, aka Ms. Marvel, aka Captain Marvel. This is a touchy subject, but I decided to put this as number 1 anyway. And without further ado, the infamous Avengers issue 200. Standing as one of the most controversial Avengers stories ever told, the infamous Avengers issue 200 began with Ms. Marvel realizing that she suddenly and unexpectedly became pregnant. As it turned out, Ms. Marvel had been kidnapped by an extra-dimensional being named Marcus. Yep, that's his name, folks. Marcus. Who then trapped her in limbo. Brainwashed and forced to fall in love with Marcus, Carol was impregnated with his own essence against her will. Oh god. And then was sent back to Earth to give birth to her abuser. Oh no. Man, I don't know who thought this storyline was an okay thing to print back in the day. I mean, this is up there with like Sins Past from Amazing Spider-Man Bad. Alright, back to Carol. The story drew considerable criticism and outrage upon its release, thanks to the comic's overly dark themes, as well as the nonchalance with which the traumatizing events of the story were addressed. Amongst the story's many detractors was none other than famed writer Chris Claremont, who attempted to undo the story in Avengers Annual number 10, although it seems the damage was already done. I mean, once there's an implication of rape, there's not much you can do to unrape. Yeah. Carol's been through some shit. Well, that should do it for 10 things did you know about Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel. I may make this a series, so in the comments below, tell me what character would you like me to do next. Also, if you have any other questions you would like me to answer, I may put them in the next video that I do. But with that, I'll talk to you guys later. See you. Oh, one more thing. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Like and subscribe as always, and I would tell you guys to watch some of the other videos on our channel that are appearing up on screen right now, but I don't know if Armin will actually do it, so